Hello and welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. I do apologise for the slight delay as we just had a bit of a power cut about 10 minutes ago and a fuse issue, but we're all set and firing now. Our top stories are going to be the WWE, particularly Triple H, going all out for Fox Sports 1. Bray Wyatt's inclusion in today's Smackdown. The Wrestling Observer has confirmed my previous report about Sasha Banks and Naomi, which has now been seen by more than 4,000 people. WrestleVotes has now confirmed my report about Money in the Bank having the match change place and potentially the actual pay-per-view shifted way off the calendar. We have an update on two former WWE stars who are making appearances or have made in the last few days appearances at the Performance Center. Something on to Neil Dashwood, which I'm sure most of you will have seen already, and CM Punk done in AEW. More on that as it comes, and more that will be reported in the days to come. So, we will start with our opening piece of news, which, as I'm sure you're all aware, is that the WWE are planning to go all out tonight with SmackDown on Fox Sports 1. FS1 is a smaller audience. They've struggled to reach the million viewership in FS1 previously. Triple H is on a mission with his content plan to make that happen this week. The plan is to push the return of Roman Reigns, the use of Bray Wyatt, and the open challenge for Ronda Rousey. This is why news has been leaked about Neil Dashwood making an appearance tonight, likely to be the challenger for the SmackDown Women's Championship in the open challenge with Ronda Rousey. How this will play into the ongoing storyline with Liv Morgan, we have yet to see, though Liv Morgan has been held at a slight distance from Ronda Rousey over the last few weeks. The plan very much is not to make this a go-home show for Crown Jewel, but just to make this a show which starts with a kick and ends with a bang. So, kick and a bang, which will likely be Roman Reigns giving us the bang and Bray Wyatt giving us the kick. Though to Neil Dashwood, I'm not entirely sure how that will hit with the crowd there. Bray Wyatt is in attendance tonight. He is expected to feature at least in a vignette. There have been recordings scheduled for earlier on today, which are being put together as we speak, so I can't sit here and confirm one way or the other whether we will see Bray Wyatt in the flesh or in a vignette, but we are still very much in the phase of establishing this new version of Bray Wyatt. We are not likely to see him jump in and attack anybody in particular. Also fun today to see the Wrestling Observer confirm my report about a plan for a match between Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns in the offing. That is something that is being put together as we speak, and that is something that the WWE and both men are very interested in making happen. As usual, this is also a question and answer show. I have not really advertised it because I've unfortunately not had much time today to put things together. I've been doing dad duties, it's half term here, and as I say, we did have a power cut about 15 minutes ago, which is meant for a little bit of a frantic show. So I will of course be answering any questions that come through. We'll be talking about further news, confirmation of reports on Sasha Banks and Naomi, Money in the Bank changes, and two people who have been two former WWE superstars who have been making appearances at the Performance Center, plus a little on CM Punk. So be sure to hit like. We have 14 at the moment and 49 viewers. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and ask your questions. Let's get stuck in. Simon is the first person to ask a question on the YouTube side. He says, please update me all us on the Sasha comeback news, story situation, Meltzer, the Observer, Sean Ross at Fightful Select reported news on a part-time contract today. There is no update. I've already provided you all the information in the previous video released earlier this week, which is been viewed more than 4,000 times. When it's had more views than my subscriber count, that tells you we're onto something there. As regards reports from Wrestling Observer, I don't subscribe to it. As regards news from Fightful Select, I don't subscribe to it. All I know is from reports that I've seen online, which suggests that Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer has been confirming my previous reports on Sasha Banks and Naomi, and I know that this has made its way to a report on Fightful.com as well. So I can't comment on them, except to say that I know what has been actively released, and it confirms what I've already reported. Essentially, The message there is subscribe to Tom Colohue. Wrestler fan says, is Brock expected to wrestle on just Crown Jewel? Then he is done wrestling until the Royal Rumble. They are still actively in negotiations for Survivor Series. There is no planned match of him at the moment. It may be a second Brock versus Bobby Lashley match, which then leads us into the Rumble and something between the two of them there. This may go all the way to WrestleMania, but it may just be a one and done. That seems the most likely at this point in time. I'm honestly not sure. Matthew Ham says, hello Tom, heard if there are any female matches set for Crown Jewel? Yes, there are female matches set for Crown Jewel. Austin says, I think it's funny. WrestleTalk reported today about Sasha and Naomi today, the same report that literally you did, got to put credit on Tom's name. You are not going to hear my name on places like that, and you guys know it. I've been blacklisted for several different reasons, mostly because some guy said so. And when I make a report like this, which is proven true pretty much immediately, they don't much care. Sai says, hi Tom and all, hope everyone's good. I'm very good, Sai. Great to see you. And Callie says, evening Tom, hope you are well. Very well, thank you. Welcome, mate. Sean says, hello Tom. Hello, Sean. Venom says, hi Tom, how are you? Doing very well, thank you. As I say, not had much time to put things together because of dad duties, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Carlos says, Emma or Tenille gimmick tonight. The most likely scenario is a return to Emma, but it depends what she's negotiated. I've not heard about a contract as of yet. Jermaine says, hi Tom. Welcome, sir. Michael says, hi Tom. Welcome, sir. It was good seeing your tweet earlier on about the Sasha Banks and Naomi situation. Very telling indeed. Venom says, do you reckon Johnny reveals next week what Miz promised Dexter was indie? No, I don't think that's something he can promise, personally. Austin says, was so hoping Shayna, not impossible, but it seems like they've gone in a different direction at this point in time. Shayna Baszler being bumped down the card for another return. Sean says, did you hear what Bully Ray said about damage control? Nope, and I'm okay not caring. Spider-Boss says, hello Tom. PWInsider told Tenille Dashwood will be on SmackDown tonight. I can confirm that she is currently backstage at SmackDown. PWInsider reporting absolute facts there. Steve says, with SmackDown on FS1 tonight, expect Rampage to compete in the ratings and for Tony Khan to be dreadful on Twitter this weekend. It may be considered one-on-one, as it were, but it's still very much not. It's still a very much different situation, and, let's be honest, I'm not sure Rampage can compete even on FS1. Venom says, Shayna and Ronda feud is money. Shayna just needs to be built up first. If they are going the tag team route, particularly a tag team championship match for WrestleMania, they need to start soon, but they don't necessarily need to start with a match against each other. Spider-Boss says, Dave Meltzer told that Sasha is still under contract with WWE over media reporting what we heard about Sasha here. Yep, regulars here are fully aware of how often this happens. I'll report something, it'll pop up days or weeks later behind a paywall for another wrestling journalist. Naturally, my name will not be mentioned. There is plentiful, bountiful evidence of it. There is our latest piece of it. I do think at this point, while it's getting painful and annoying for your good selves on Twitter to be actually trying to say it to the journalists themselves, there are plenty of other places who aggregate quotes and the like, who get a lot of traction. There was one, I can't remember the name of it now, I'm going to have to double check. There was one which was covering the Meltzer quote, which got a lot of traction, a lot of shares, a lot of retweets and the like. And I do feel a quote tweet on that, or some sort of reply on that, linking the show in which I openly said that over a course of 7 minutes? 7 minutes doesn't seem like a long time to watch, get the news, and then put it out there. Because I'll tell you what, we're not getting a lot of that, are we? We're not getting a lot of people just being honest about the fact that, hey, if you want news, I know where it can be. Here. It can be here. It's readily available here. A lot of news is readily available here, and not particularly hard to find. Like this particular Twitter account is hard to find. I don't follow a lot, I gotta be honest. I don't follow a lot at all. And yet here we are, still struggling to find it. But basically, the message from my side is that while, yes, the wrestling journalists themselves are doing everything possible to quieten anyone who points out that I had it first, accurately so, there are other routes to getting the word out there. Different wrestling news aggregators and Twitter sites, which I'm going to be trying to reach out to over the next few days to try and make something happen, because there it is. Wrestle Purists, for example, is the one that I saw from yourself, Michael. Wrestle Purists. As an example of someone we may be able to talk to about some integrity here, because there's plenty of news coming out of this YouTube channel and plenty of future news that is coming as well that people just aren't being honest about. Callie says, hit the likes. Thank you, Callie. Please remember to like. We are on 23 likes and 66 viewers. Every little does help the growth of the channel. Sean says, PWInsider is also saying Chelsea Green is done for Impact and is WWE bound. More on that shortly. Spider-Boss says, I wonder why Sasha's fans doubt about your reports about Sasha, knowing your report about Sasha is accurate. Here's the thing. There's a lot of wrestling journalists, and I don't begrudge people not being sure who reported what. What I will say is that my report on Sasha gained a lot of traction. A lot of people watched it who wouldn't normally. And what that means is, now that the report's been confirmed by Meltzer, and in future, when Sasha returns, if Sasha returns, we'll see what happens there. But I don't know if people are going to trust it. What I do think people trust more likely is the amount of you guys there saying, no, he knows what he's talking about. Here's something he's reported. That's good stuff. Venom says, do you think we'll get Cody versus Roman night 1 for WWE title, night 2 Roman and Bray for Universal title? No, I said the exact opposite. I said Bray versus Roman for night 1 and Roman versus Cody for night 2. That's personally what I think is going to happen. Note that I say think, but that is based on two things that I've reported. Firstly, that Cody Rhodes will be back in time for the Royal Rumble. I reported that literally the day after Hell in a Cell, when the injury was reported. And secondly, that Bray Wyatt is on a collision course with Roman Reigns. This again has been confirmed in the Wrestling Observer newsletter today. Joey says, hey Tom, is the Sasha contract hold up to do with money? Nope. Hector says, happy Friday, Tom. I really hope we see more of the Uncle Howdy character. I realise if you had more info you couldn't really disclose it, but is there any chance that that character could be a member of Bray's in real life family, or is that a stretch? No comment. Eddie says Cardona will be back with Chelsea Green too. I have not said that Chelsea Green will be back. You're asking me about someone else's report, and I cannot confirm it. Spider-Boss says your thoughts on Bayley versus Bianca from Raw this week. Overbooked, very, very busy. Said Jizzle. Says Tom, when you saying back at Castle that Sasha and Naomi was set to return imminently, sounds like you were wrong. No, you got the wrong person. At no point have I said they're set to return imminently. At no point have I said that. In fact, I've been extremely careful with my reporting when it comes to Sasha Banks and Naomi, and made it clear that for a long time on this channel, and many people here will back me up, I was absolutely and vehemently no commenting as regards any questions on Sasha Banks and Naomi. I reported what I knew. Anything I didn't know, I didn't say. Dominic Perez says everything is on the table. Jermaine says, hey Tom, the current Bloodline storyline is looking more and more like Jey Uso's being the one that costs the Bloodline all the titles. That's what I'm feeling from it personally. That's the feel I get from it. When it comes to Jey Uso, I feel he's perfectly placed, and using Sami Zayn in the way that he's using him suggests that we will get some involvement of Sami taking those tag team championships away. But the storyline doesn't have to end there. The storyline just doesn't have to end there. It can very much continue, and I expect to see that. Mark says, will Austin Theory cash in on main roster or NXT? Personally, I think the only way he can succeed with a cash-in will be in NXT. As I've mentioned, Vince McMahon wanted this cash-in to have already happened and failed. Triple H has reassessed things and come up with some different options, but I do not see Austin Theory becoming a world champion, at the main roster at least, anytime soon. Moxie says, what's good, Tom? How you doing, Moxie? How you doing, mate? Jane says, hey, Tom, did I miss anything? A little bit on the plans for FS1 tonight. Not too much as regards info. I've not been too busy at the moment or speaking to too many people. It's half term in the UK. I'm a little bit busy with good old-fashioned parenting. But from what I can tell, we are looking at a hell of a show tonight. Matthew Ham says, you said there are female matches set. Who'll be facing who? You might just have to wait and find out, Matthew. I don't really report too much on Crown Jewel, and I'm okay with it. Jermaine says, that's why I told everyone to be patient and trust Tom, because he has the news on Sasha Banks first before anyone else. He never gets credit by the major outlets. That's a shame. I agree, it's a shame. I mean, we just had Sir Jizzle in here, who makes a point of popping up on Twitter and putting me down as best he can. One of many who do so. But he wants to jump in and said, hey, weren't you wrong? And ask me about something which I have never said. Never said. You're assuming that I've said something which has never happened, and then like, well, that means you're wrong. Well, if anyone had said that, they would be wrong. Thankfully, that's not something I've ever said. Michael says, Emma is so good. I'm excited to see her in WWE again. Lots of good possibilities. I agree. I do think she's one of those who has actually a really strong social media following. And she's from that Natalia school of very good classical technical wrestlers who can compete with basically anyone. That, for me, is a real huge addition to the team. Spiderball says, hi Tom, the most accurate news about Sasha comes from spoiler warning. I personally agree. Rosar says, what did you think of Nikki Cross' return on Raw? Will Doudrop be getting a repackage also? Doudrop will have to get a repackage. After all, the Doudrop character doesn't really work in the theatre that Triple H is putting together. As regards Nikki, we knew a repackage was coming. I expected it would be towards Bray Wyatt. That simply is not the case. My opinion, unfortunately, not what happened there. Oh, and I like the repackage mostly because I think Nikki Ash just not effective. Bailey, welcome, says Tom, what can or should channel followers do to help build a channel without setting off the usual anti-Tom reactions in some quarters? Great question. Honestly, I'm really not sure. It's very difficult to not rile up those quarters because those quarters, it's the only purpose that they have. How many people do you see pop up attacking me, and then a couple of days later, when someone else reports the same thing I report, they're nowhere to be seen? Because literally they stop existing unless they're attacking someone. They are bad faith accounts. Unfortunately, while I really do appreciate what you're saying there and the question you're asking, I don't feel there is a way to avoid setting off the anti-me reactions. I think, unfortunately, it's too little too late. So you have a choice, Bailey. You can, if you would like, continue to support knowing that that is going to happen. Or, and I will not begrudge you this, you can choose not to support so vocally. You can choose to support on a more one-on-one basis. You can choose to send DMs instead or have conversations. Whatever you want to do. I really appreciate everyone who supports me. One retweet from you guys can make a huge difference. But what I will say, don't risk your own mental health about it. Because there are some vicious, vicious liars and trolls out there who will do anything possible to sour your day. And I really don't want to be responsible for someone attacking you personally, because you all know as well as I do, they don't have an argument. They really don't. So they just go personal immediately. Venom says, I don't get why Indy isn't being moved up to Raw. There is no reason to keep her in NXT. Do you think she gets called up soon? Yes. Hummingbird says, Austin Theory should be the champ rather than Roman Reigns. Nope. Joey says, do you have any info on this potential Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns feud? Could it be for War Games? I've already shared everything I already knew about Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. There was a conversation about the Wyatt Six versus the Bloodline in War Games. That is still in negotiations, but it's not guaranteed because the Wyatt Six does not look like it's going to be fully put together and confirmed by that point. And it's going to be very difficult wrestling a War Games in those particular masks. Not impossible, but very difficult. Now, as you know, I reported this the day after Extreme Rules. I reported that this was likely. Now it has been reported that by Dave Meltzer, the same thing. Cam says, hi, Tom. Hello, Cam. How are you? Tom talks rubbish. How are you doing, sir? Says, big love, Tom. Found a thumbnail designer from my college. How important do you think thumbnails are to video views? Very important. Now, Tom, I've been putting together something you may be interested in, slowly but surely. I'm putting together a open Google document with my experience, best practice for running a content creation. So, for example, a YouTube site. And titles and thumbnails are way up there. I would say thumbnails and titles are the most important things, more important than tags, more important even than the account it is, more important than if it's live or recorded, more important than anything. Good thumbnails make a huge difference, And even some best practice is bad for it. For example, if you're not a well-known performer, don't put your own face on a thumbnail. I'll be sharing my experience putting that together and sending it out to people who may or may not be interested, just to see if anyone else wants to add anything or so on and so forth, just to try and help my fellow content creators along as well. So that may be of interest to you. Steve says, hi Tom, hope you're well, buddy. PWInsider have reported Chelsea Green is on her way back to WWE. Have you heard anything regarding these rumours? Yes, I have. What I will say nice and quick, I'll go on to this particular piece. 2 former WWE superstars have been spotted at the Performance Center. Chelsea Green is one of them. Tyler Breeze is the other. Both of them have been spotted at the Performance Center in Florida. It is believed that they are in negotiations for a return to wrestle for the WWE. Both Chelsea Green and Tyler Breeze. At this point in time, I have not heard anything about Zack Ryder, as he was in WWE. At this point, I've only heard Chelsea Green, Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze, of course, I've already mentioned. Chelsea Green, I was skeptical about that report, but certainly gaining a lot of steam. Hector says, to be honest, Tom, you're the reason I unsubscribed to Fightful Select. It's not because of money, it's because they won't give you the proper credit you deserve. Not liking you is one thing, but just completely disrespecting you is something I'm not about or want to be a part of. I appreciate that, Hector. I very much appreciate that. I am very, very proud of the fact that I report news for absolutely free. Very, very proud of that. Now, obviously, different people support the channel in different ways. They support what we do here in different ways that they can. Some people are channel members. Some people give donations. Some people hit like and subscribe, and that's all we really want. People who just chat, just literally, if you chat on the YouTube, if you chat on Twitch, you are helping to support the channel because you are engaging with the video and making that channel grow. YouTube advertises more based on that engagement. The little things like that go a long, long way. Thank you for that, Hector. Noob says, hello, Tom. How are you doing? Doing very, very well. Thank you. Very well indeed. Steve says, forgive my speculation station, but if there is interest from WWE and Chelsea Green, do you believe WWE would have any interest in Matt Cardona or Deonna Purrazzo when their contracts are up with Impact? Yes, I do. So I initially did not expect this many people to return in the way that they have. Triple H has literally been hoovering people up. So I would say there is interest to have a much more expanded roster as it continues and go from there. Spider-Boss says, when Sasha returns to WWE, I will say it again. Colohue did it again. Thank you, Spider-Boss. Appreciate that. Dimitar, welcome. Says, yeah, Tom usually is right about her, unlike some other wannabe reporters like Zero or that Pro Wrestling Overtime account. I do have a very good record with certain news stories, certain people, and I stand by that record. A lot of people here follow me because of reports I've made about Sasha Banks. I don't believe that any of you would continue to follow me if I was anywhere near as wrong as I'm accused of being at times. Will, firstly, welcome. Secondly, I'm not sure what you're saying there. Spider-Boss says, what is the plan for Seth's USA title reign? Not entirely sure at this point in time. I actually didn't know this one was coming. This one was news to me. I do believe he's going to be carrying it for a while. I think it's very possible that instead of Roman versus Cody, we pivot to Roman versus Bray for both championships, and Cody wins the United States Championship from Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I'm not sure how that will play out, but at the moment, much like Ricochet winning the Intercontinental Championship from Sami Zayn, so that Sami Zayn could lose to Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins winning this championship from Bobby Lashley was to make sure that Brock Lesnar didn't get within an inch of that championship. Peter Englefield says, well, hey, my Friday is complete with Sir Tom here. Oh, thank you. I've been knighted. Thank you kindly, sir. Pardon me. Noob says, I heard that Chelsea Green is going back to WWE. I believe that her shot at the NWA Women's title is her last chance. Yes, it is, because it looks like she will not be there for much longer. Michael is excited for Nikki Cross too. I think this gives her a real strong opportunity to really make something of this character. It's up to her at this point. It's very much up to her. Venom says, I don't understand why they don't bring Tegan Knox back. A number of different reasons. Visa issues are the most prominent, as I've had confirmed by a number of sources. Again, Will, not quite sure what you're saying there. Hector says, if your Mania prediction of Roman losing both belts comes true, I honestly think the downfall of the Tribal Chief could be an even more compelling story than his current one, which is crazy to think. Very much true. Also, I think it's worth pointing out, Jey Uso feuding with Roman Reigns doesn't necessarily need to involve the championships. They can still do that. There is enough personal animosity to make it work. Spider-Boss says, with Bianca's strong booking, seems Bayley will require an entire army to beat Bianca. You say that, but she did it, didn't she? Wrestler Fan says, do you think we could see a 40-man and women Royal Rumble again? We could. I don't think it's likely, but I do know that they are considering the possibility of a 2-night Royal Rumble. Now, this was brought up here in the chat a while back. I went away and asked some questions about it, and what I got back was that there has been at least 2 discussions about the potential for a 2-night Royal Rumble, that being main evented by 1 Royal Rumble the first night and 1 Royal Rumble the second night. This would allow them to have a much more expanded card, and does mean they could keep it to 3 hours at most either side. More likely it would end up being a 2.5 hour show either way, but that means 5 hours of pay-per-view. I don't think that's a bad idea. As regards 40 men and 40 women, they have the people, though they might not have the women. Moxie says, Tom, how long is SmackDown going to be? 2 hours, isn't it? Usually 2 hours. Sean says, The Rock's daughter Ava Raine, Simone Johnson, debuted on NXT this week. She's a part of the Schism, led by Joe Gacy. That does seem to have brought up a lot more interest in the Schism, I will say. Moxie says, give me Hurt Business versus Team Brock at War Games. Brock has never had a team. He's always worked alone. I don't ever see that one happening. Tom says, I love that you put your family first. Big love. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. Joey's accusing Zero News of being a fake journalist. Mark Talk Sports says, cheers for answering my question. Hope you're well. Do you think not saying what you've been told who you would like to see back in WWE that no one is talking about? Okay, so who I would like to see back that no one's talking about, that's like without any inside information, as it were. I've mentioned them before as someone on Triple H's list, and even though I don't feel they've done well outside of WWE, I would like to see the Authors of Pain back. I don't see anyone talking about them, but they've been on the list and there's been contact with them. I'm excited for that as a possibility. Spider-Boss says, I get attacked on Twitter just to put you over, Tom. Your record with Sasha's name is perfect as Federer in Wimbledon. Yeah, see, that's the most frustrating thing, is watching those attacks happen on Twitter when literally anyone who actually watches what I do here knows 100% how good my record is. Sean says, I think Nikki is a tweener. She got booed for attacking Bayley. From what I can tell, she was kind of attacking everyone. Code Adrenaline says, Twitter was very mixed with the Nikki Cross return on Monday. I personally very much enjoyed it. Very interesting. She attacked both Bayley and Damage Control. I guess she is crazy. I've never been a fan of the crazy gimmick. I really haven't. Moxie says, Tom, I feel like Roman is still very interesting. I'm still excited every week for him. I think it's even more exciting now that it doesn't happen every week. Having Roman Reigns at his limited date contract working at a distance, as it were, I think is a very good thing, and has made him, given him a little additional longevity. Will says, he was the only one I heard back then that Sasha and Naomi were still under contract all those months ago. Yep. Everyone else just kept their mouth shut. I said, yeah, they're still under contract. Now, admittedly, Naomi's has expired since that, but I feel it's one of those where I've been on top of this, and I'm very, very proud to say that. Jermaine says, I know Triple H is bringing back a lot of people, but what everyone needs to understand, that he's bringing them back under cheaper deals because you don't hear about budget cuts anymore. You do not. The cost-benefit analysis has very much changed, in that the benefit may be the same, but the cost has come down. And as soon as this is above this, we're golden. Edward Brooks, how you doing, sir? Says, hey, Tom, hope you had a good week. Any thoughts on Damage Control beating up Candice without the camera view? I think it's a swerve. It is very possibly a swerve. I do feel that Candice LeRae has the devil in her. And I do feel that's just a fun thing. Also, thank you, Edward, for publicising the Sasha Banks and Naomi video. That certainly got a lot of attention. I do believe a large part of that is people like yourself sharing it and putting the news out there. And as I say, I'm thrilled to be able to report news like that. Simon says, PWInsider's Mike Johnson reported the draw news today that Sheamus was roped off TV on SmackDown last week to get married. And congratulations to him. Traffic says, good afternoon, Tom. Little late, So I'm going to start from the beginning. Just wanted to say thanks as always. Not a worry, Traffic. There's quite a few people at the moment who come in, say hi, and then rewind back. And honestly, this works brilliantly for me. I have absolutely no issue with it. The most important thing for me about spoiler warning is that people are enjoying what I do. And the fact that you watch it from the beginning to the end is a wonderful, wonderful thing for me and does me the world of favours. Thank you, Traffic. Venom says, I know you don't watch much NXT, but did you see The Rock's daughter debut with Joe Gacy? I saw some screenshots. Moxie says, Tom, so happy, and 5 followers away from an affiliate on Twitch. Is there any way you could help me reach it? It depends what you do, Moxie. I can't sit here and say whether or not the viewers here are going to be interested in your content. So tell me about your content, Moxie. Joey says, would Tyler Breeze work the main roster or NXT? The only information I can report right now is that Tyler Breeze has been spotted in the PC, the Performance Center, in Florida. I don't know where he's planned to be. From my understanding is that he's likely to spend at least some time in NXT first, but no guarantee of that. I'm not reporting that. That's just my understanding. Jermaine says, this is why I believe we're getting the Brawling Brutes right now. I believe we can see the Brawling Brutes and 2 other people versus the Bloodline at Survivor Series / War Games. Very much so. I think Drew McIntyre may be one of those other people. Tom, thank you. Says, would 100% be interested in your advice? True inspiration to me. Big love to you, sir. Thank you, Tom. Any advice I'm able to put together, I'll let you know about. And honestly, we'll be sharing best practice and trying to do the best we can there. Ghost, welcome. Says, hey, Tom and chat. Hope everyone is doing well and staying as positive as possible. Well, yeah, we had a brief power cut here before the show started. Brief power cut, but we got where we got. Hector says, there's a reason it's called clickbait for a reason, Tom. If you have a compelling title and thumbnail, it'll at least get you views because people will click the video, and if they enjoy the content, you gain a subscriber, and who knows, even super chats or donations and the like. Absolutely right, Hector. I'm doing well from YouTube at the moment. I'm working, 4 hours a week, and I'm earning enough to justify it. I'm earning enough to justify the time. Not only that, but I'm having a great time. I'm really genuinely having a great time. And just the enjoyment, the enthusiasm of all of you, that makes it for me. Also, to be fair, the Smackdown watch parties, we'll be doing one later on today, have been picking up a lot of traction. Like a lot of traction recently. And that's bringing people in as well. The Sasha Banks and Naomi video, as I say, viewed by over 4,000 people, a lot of which, it was their first time watching the channel. And this, of course, was followed by the next video I put up, which wasn't live. It was Triple H updates the WWE WrestleMania 39 match card. Now, I cut this out of out of Monday's spoiler warning. It has, at this point, 847 views. 847 views, which is fantastic. For something that took me 10 minutes to cut out of a live spoiler warning. That is tremendous stuff, and I'm so happy about it. We are continuing to grow, and I'm thrilled for it. Now, admittedly, we currently have 1,754 subscribers. We are still on a mission to get to 2,000. Yeah, I thought we had one more, but no, turns out it was just that guy, Sir Jizzle, who came in, subscribed, tried to heckle me, failed miserably, and then unsubscribed again. Note that he hasn't said anything else. He's just vanished. Jaden says, I came over a year ago for the Sasha news and I'm still here. Yes, you are, Jaden, and I very much appreciate that. I remember when you first came and you were signing up here, signing up on Twitch, you were popping up quite a bit and you just had a lot of questions, and that enthusiasm is one of the main reasons we've grown so quickly. Your enthusiasm, Simon's enthusiasm, so many people who come for the same information on the same people who are really enthusiastic about Sasha Banks, about Bray Wyatt. It tells me, okay, let's ask more questions about these people. And while I don't always have the news that you're looking for, I will always try my best to get you the right information. Jermaine says, good callback by Triple H. The first female wrestler that Ronda Rousey faced in the WWE was Emma, and this is excluding Stephanie McMahon, which is fair. Asuka, I believe, the first one she faced was Emma, and then Emma was fired, so I'm not entirely sure that's... I don't recall that for Ronda Rousey, I've got to be honest. Marcel says, a nice storyline I would like to see is let's keep Austin Theory the Money in the Bank until the last day, with the pressure that he has to cash in, otherwise the contract will expire. I'd like that. I honestly feel that'd be very effective. Dimitar says, yes, some people are just spewing shit. Just today I've seen people say things like wanting more money than Becky, more merch money. wanting to own her own name and other stuff. Yep, first I've heard of that. People just say things for the clicks. Devil says, which female superstar could we potentially see join the OC to even the odds with Rhea? I'd like to see Beth Phoenix do it. I think she would fit very well in that group. But, lots of tension there. Dimitar adds, a lot of people just pretend to know stuff for clicks. Very much they do. Stuart Ridley says, evening Tom, a little late with the greeting. Good show so far as usual. Thank you, Stuart. I hope you're well. Spider-Boss says, who do you see returning first, Becky or Charlotte? Charlotte personally. Joey says, how would Roman feud with both Bray and Cody for Mania? Would he appear on Raw and SmackDown? Yes. Moisey said, I'd love to see John Morrison come back. I think he'd make a great addition, and I'm still waiting for a proper feud with AJ Styles and John Morrison. That would work for me. Spider-Boss says, the only time I saw Brock in Survivor Series was in 2003. Team Brock versus Team Kurt Angle. A very different Brock Lesnar indeed. Thomas Phipps, welcome, sir. Says, hi, Tom. Who do you think will be the mystery partner for Hit Row? And who will be answering Ronda's open challenge? The Carmelo thing really shouldn't be ignored. I do feel he fits the bill perfectly. It's also very likely to be Madcap Moss, let's be honest. Answering Ronda's open challenge, that seems most likely at this point to be to Neil Dashwood. I can confirm she is backstage at SmackDown. We are likely to see her competing with Ronda. Eric Douglas, welcome, sir. Says, Tom, a couple of questions. One, with MJF leaving firm, can we get a Pinnacle return? Possibly. And two, thoughts on Corbin's new gimmick. Overdue. Baron Corbin needed to be taken more seriously. I'm glad it's finally happening. Moxie says, Tom, do you see Roman hitting 1,000 days as champion? No, but I also said that about 700 days. And 600 days. 500 days. Michael says, almost every time I mention your name, there is one individual who has to put in his 2 cents every time, so I kind of stopped bothering. I appreciate the support regardless, Michael. There is always one or two individuals who are just absolutely in bad faith. It really doesn't matter how accurate I am. Some people will never be happy. They'll never actually stop and do any research to find out whether they're right or wrong. They will just go on the attack. I'm confident I know who the individual is, Michael. I think I've seen it. Can I just say that they are very much not worth your time? Thank you very much, Stuart, for signing up as a channel supporter. We do have channel membership options. Channel supporter, £1 a month, £12 a year. Channel member, £5 or £60 a year. It does go directly to me, that amount of money. It is a much higher split than on Twitch. I do very much appreciate it, Stuart. There's a couple of videos you may want to jump into. The Bray Wyatt one, where I talk about how I came to the Bray Wyatt news. The news where I reported on the 21st of September, Bray Wyatt signing a new deal. And then he popped back up at Extreme Rules. I put a video together in the membership side, basically saying what I knew and when I knew it. But thank you very much, Stuart. Hector says, so excited to see a fully healthy Chelsea Green on main roster and under Triple H, because honestly her first run with WWE is very forgettable. Not entirely her fault of injury and bad booking. Fresh start under new management could be very beneficial. True for her and a lot more as well. Sean says, I do think Nikki's return was a surprise. Fans were expecting Alexa, Asuka or Charlotte. Well, surprises are a good thing. Spider-Boss says, who could be the fourth member of Hit Row? I have covered that. I think Carmelo Hayes is most likely. Noob says, I found the reveal of The Rock's daughter at NXT was very surprising. Surprises are good. Moxie, I've already answered about Baron Corbin and JBL's partnership. I'm very, very happy that what we have is a more serious Baron Corbin. Spider-Boss mentioning the attack that he underwent when pointing out that I accurately reported news. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You'd think a wrestling journalist would be open to being told, hey, this person reports accurate news. But some of them really aren't. Simon, I've not really followed the reports about MJF being a babyface. I don't like the idea. Just let him be a heel. He's a very good heel. Spider-Boss says, Dominic Mysterio calling himself this generation's Eddie Guerrero made me laugh. It was quite funny, that. It absolutely was. Jaden says, I'm going to rewatch the first 10 minutes of the show when spoiler warning is over. Thank you kindly. Hector says, do you think Johnny knew the extent of Ciampa's injury when he mentioned him being injured in storyline? I really like the mix of shoot and work. Hopefully that kind of thing sticks around. It shows that they are still in conversation, and it shows that those two still have a lot of respect for each other. Simon says, are AEW Ring of Honor splitting up the rosters soon? Nope. Joey says, what is the plan for Dijak in NXT? Good question. Hard to confirm. Hard to say for sure one way or the other. I honestly, I don't know. Code says, is Survivor Series also in November? So after Crown Jewel, the build starts right away. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Moxie would have to talk about that, but I don't play any of the games you've mentioned there, so it's going to be hard to collab. Jaden says, who do you think is going to answer Ronda's challenge? Tenille Dashwood seems most likely at this point in time. Megan says, Tyler Breeze is back with WWE as a trainer. He apparently announced this himself on the bump earlier this month. Also, hello. Thank you, Megan. Thank you for the clarification, and hello to you too. Thank you, Mario B 3300, for following on Twitch. You'll get a notification every time we go live with our Monday and Friday spoiler warning shows, and of course, the Smackdown watch parties every Friday. I do want to quickly mention something that's playing on my mind because of what people are talking about right now. I'm aware that a lot of you, whenever you mention my name, are being shouted down. I want you to consider that's what they're going for. They don't need to be right, they just need you to stop talking. And that's what they're doing. They couldn't care less about fact-checking it. They absolutely couldn't care less. They don't want to see if my news is accurate. They don't care. They don't want to respect a fellow human being because that would mean putting my name on their work. They don't care. They don't even necessarily want to be too accurate with what they're reporting, because if they wanted to be accurate, first reported by Tom Colohue would be in a hell of a lot of articles right now, including behind paywalls. What they want you to do is be quiet. And they have succeeded in doing so. So once again, I massively appreciate any support you give me. I do not require it. It does help the growth of the channel, but I don't want anyone putting themselves into the firing line of the hate that a lot of you unfortunately have been given. What they are trying to do is shut you up so that my name stops being mentioned, stops being advertised, so that I stop growing, so that I can no longer make a living, and so that I vanish completely. That's the intention, and they have succeeded. Venom says, do you think Tyler Bate will be called up as they are not doing anything with him in NXT? I hope not. Spider-Boss says, could Candice LeRae see The Way after Damage Control attacked her on Raw? She could. After all, The Way is there. Sean says, apparently Mike and Maria Kanellis are all elite. Indeed, Kingdom signed to AEW. Venom says, Rhea and Bianca would be good matches to see with Ronda. They would be. They are not planned at this point in time. Camo says, hey Tom, hope House had a good day. House did have a good day. Thank you, Camo. I had a very good day. How are you? Noob says, a lot of people are very upset that Mandy Rose didn't make the top 10 in the PWI Women's 150 list. Cool. Well, why is that an issue? It's amazing. The same people who were there saying, oh, I don't respect Dave Meltzer's 5-star thing, are furious at PWI 150 list. If you don't know someone, go out and find them. There are some great wrestlers on that list. Spaniola says, what do you think Jay's consequences are? I'd imagine he's about to get some sort of whipping. Code says, starting getting back into WWE a bit before SummerSlam, and your spoiler warning came up on my recommended. Make sure I'm here most of the time now. You do, Code, and I very much appreciate it. This is literally what I mean when I say, every comment has a chance of making my video pop up on someone else's recommended feed. We have 80% of our views coming directly from the YouTube homepage because people who watch the same videos that you watch may also want to watch this video, and so on and so forth. It gains me a lot of traction and is one of the main reasons I've grown so quickly. Over the last 3 months, I've gained just under 500 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible for a channel this size. And I'm so proud of the fact that when people do come here, they tend to stick around. That, I feel, is the thing I'm most proud of, so thank you, Code. Blair says, who is the next AEW star to go to WWE? CM Punk. Spider-Boss says, do you think MJF can work as a babyface? Yes, I just don't necessarily want him to. Jaden says, do you have any news today? Yes, I've already mentioned some of it. Chelsea Green backstage at the Performance Centre. Tyler Breeze there, of course. Tenille Dashwood. And the plans for SmackDown tonight. Will says, do you know if when Roxanne Perez was a free agent, did AEW ever try to get to sign her? I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't imagine they wanted to let her go. I can't imagine that, I'll tell you that. Cole Mario says, yes or no, will Sasha Banks return to Survivor Series and will Carmella be 4th member of Hit Row? That is not a yes or no question in any way, shape or form. It's not a yes or no question, so no comment there. Joey says, do you have any new info on the CM Punk contract situation? Okay. So, we have obviously, I imagine many of you follow the news and are aware of the report that came out via CM Punk, that when the door was kicked in on his dressing room, his dog picked up an injury. Dave Meltzer, of course, has said that this is the first he's heard of it. What I will say on this is that anyone I've reached out to backstage in AEW has been very clear. Despite the issues they have with Tony Khan over his whole handling of this affair, the blame goes directly to CM Punk. All of the blame is going directly to CM Punk. Anyone who was of a positive opinion of him, from what I can tell and what I've been told, the way he has manipulated the media has changed their opinion of him. Now, I don't believe I can stress any more powerfully phrased on that one. CM Punk, from the people I've spoken to, is simply no longer welcome in AEW. He will be bought out as soon as they can agree to a 7-figure sum that he is happy with. He will be leaving. He will be canvassing for other wrestling roles, particularly the WWE. I reported a while back that under Vince McMahon it was more of a possibility than Triple H. However, plentiful reports have come out now saying that Triple H's stance has softened. So when he makes that bid, and believe me, feelers have already sent out, we'll see how that goes. There are plenty of people close to CM Punk who will fight his corner in the WWE, but as of the moment, legally, he is not able to leave his contract until a buyout is agreed, and it is a 7-figure sum that he is looking for. Mark says, the greatest wrestler on the planet, Walter/Gunter, will he be getting a big matchup after Crown Jewel? He will be involved in Survivor Series, from best I can tell. I don't necessarily think he'll have a championship match. My hope is that he gets Brock Lesnar coming up, but I suspect he'll be very, very involved up to the point that we get to WrestleMania, where he's going to be lined up against Drew McIntyre. Carlos Colon says, PWInsider reports Nakamura will be Hit Row's partner tonight. I mean, that's an option. Certainly had some interest in the match. Kind of a shame. Stuart Ridley says, finally found the join button. It's in the description of your videos, but not in the spoiler warning one. Very true. I am going to copy that over because that's actually an oversight on my part. I really should look into that. Tom, not sure on that one because if it's private, what actual experimentation is there? Tom, do you have the vidIQ plugin? Because it may be worth it. Marcel says, came on your channel 4 weeks ago. Now I notice who really brings the reliable news. Thank you, Marcel. Sean says, speedy recovery to Tommaso Ciampa as he recovers from his hip surgery. Indeed. Jermaine says, you're right, Tom, it was Asuka, and she was Emma's last feud before she was fired. Literally, yes. Spider-Bus says, I wonder what is next in this storyline with Miz and Dexter Lumis. It's extremely slow moving, so not much. Thomas Phipps says, what do you think about Dom's heel run so far? For me personally, it's working as he's getting lots of heat. I agree. I think he's done very well with it. I wasn't expecting to be as into it as I am, and I do think Rhea Ripley is a large reason why it's working. Now, I'm not going to read that. I'm just going to read Flying, because, you know, I can say what I can say, and I'm not entirely sure where this is coming from. So I'm just going to read. Flying says, one of your videos was recommended while I was listening to Jim Cornette a month ago, and I started watching some of your older content and live streams. Very impressive. Thank you kindly, Flying. I do appreciate that. It's especially good that you've been looking at some of the older content where I hopefully am really reinforcing that I do have a strong record here. Jaden says, will her name change back to Emma? I find that likely, though it is not guaranteed. She made her name in the WWE as Emma, and that is always where it has been the biggest. Simon says, I would love to see a Bray Wyatt type overview video of your reports when Sasha and Naomi return. That is the intention, mate. Don't you worry. I think this is going to be something that becomes very, very typical of the channel. Those sort of behind-the-scenes breakdowns in the members-only section. So if people are interested in learning more about how I do what I do, be sure to become a channel member on YouTube. Mario B says, will Bobby Lashley and Brock feud be extended after Crown Jewel? Who will Brock face at WrestleMania? It's a good question. It's a difficult one, though. Brock Lesnar doesn't have a number of obvious opponents. I do think we're looking at maybe another Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar feud. I'm not necessarily into it, but I'm also not necessarily not into it anymore, let's be honest. A lot of good things could come of that, and I'd be behind it. As regards Bobby Lashley and Brock, I find it likely this match will not be one and done, but I don't think we're immediately going to get another one. Survivor Series doesn't really lend itself to those sort of continuation feuds. Hector says, I know you're not a fan of hypotheticals, but for shits and giggles, how would you go about bringing back CM Punk to the WWE that makes all parties involved coming away feeling happy about what's happening? There is no way of doing that. Absolutely no way, and I say that with absolute confidence. CM Punk would not be happy unless he came in at the top. Roman Reigns would not be happy if CM Punk came in at the top. Cody Rhodes probably wouldn't be happy if CM Punk came in at the top, and so on and so forth. And the less said about Seth Rollins and CM Punk, the better. Spider-Boss says, I suggested to my friend Caroline to watch Spoiler Warning. She told she doesn't believe you, and she told you don't know shit about Sasha. Well, she should probably have a look back across my record, but that's the thing. When they're trying so desperately to make you quiet, how would they even know about my record? Code says, probably won't happen, but I would love to see Roxanne answer the open challenge. That would be fun. Connor says, hey Tom, hope your day's been good. It has, thank you. Welcome, mate. Any news update on creative direction for Liv's character? Still in the boiling pot. They have an idea of where they're going with it, and it does seem like she's going to bounce off Ronda one more time, but we won't really see the final Liv until closer to WrestleMania. Michael says, just in your opinion, do you think Sasha and Naomi will be on the Mania card? I think they will, yes. But once again, if someone takes this, clips it, and puts it out as a report, you know I'm going to get hate. You know it. You know it. Pierre, welcome. Says, hi from France, a bit late, sorry. No need to be sorry, Pierre. I know you're relatively new here. But if you aren't a regular here, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Whenever you pop in, say hi. That's all I really need from you. If you want to jump in and ask questions, ask questions. Just you being here, or even you catching up later, does me a massive favour. Every like, every chat, every viewer that sticks around does me a massive favour, and I very much appreciate it. Simon, I don't understand what you're saying. Randy Orton has not beaten down MJF. That's not a thing that's happened. Simon says, people saying Ronda might not work Crown Jewel Saudi shows next week. She worked the Chamber pay-per-view back in February, teaming with Naomi, beating Sonya and Charlotte. Yes, she did. She's supposed to be teaming with Sasha. Tom, I suggest you look it up. vidIQ. It's a YouTube channel, first and foremost, and a plugin which really helps understand YouTube. I highly recommend it. Sean says, I believe what this secret is that Johnny Gargano knows is that Miz could be preventing Indy from moving up to the main roster, but that's just a guess from me. I suspect Miz and Mrs. will one day compete against Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. I really do. Spider-Boss says, fans on social media complain about everything. Fans complain that there will be anchor and damage control. Now that Nikki Cross returns, fans on social media complain too. Yeah, fans on social media complain about everything. Twitter is a cesspool, as we all know. An absolute cesspool. I really do appreciate, like, we've had a lot of people in here saying, like, how can we best support and advertise? Chat, like, that's amazing for me. Okay? You guys are really helping me grow just by doing that. Twitter helps at times. But YouTube is where I am now, and the long-term growth will be here. Sean says, thoughts on R-Truth in NXT appeared this week and is facing Grayson Waller next week. I like the variation that they're doing. I like that they're creating the feel of, oh, anything can happen, anyone can appear. That works for me. I like that. Venom says, do you think we could get Brock versus Omos soon? Yes, we are actively getting that relatively soon, though I do think we'll get Brock versus Braun sooner. Wrestling Savant says, hey Tom, hope you're well. Have a question that keeps stumping me. Why couldn't AEW just release CM Punk or fire him like we would assume would happen to any other talent? Why is a buyout even on the table? I don't have any recollection of pro wrestlers getting their contracts bought out in modern times beyond that of certain WCW performers upon acquisition by WWE, which is a totally different circumstance altogether. The answer to that is actually really simple. CM Punk had guarantees built into his contract, which meant that he was very, very difficult to just get rid of. hence now being in the position where they're going to have to buy him out. Thank you kindly, Tom, for your support and your donation. I really do appreciate it. Saying thanks for all the great advice. vidIQ will give you even better advice, I promise you that. And as I say, I'm putting together a Google document which will be open and anyone can access it, just with my best practices for content creation. I know I'm not a huge content creator, but what I will say and what I think people should be realizing is how quickly I have grown over the past few months. Just how quickly on such a niche conversation topic. Mario B says, will Brock appear again on TV before the Royal Rumble? Yes, he will. Wrestler Fan says, is it likely that John Cena could be at WrestleMania 39? As likely as it is unlikely. It comes down to his schedule and nobody knows yet. Simon says, if you get chances, watch the Jamie Hayter versus Rio match from Dynamite this week. Absolute 4-5-star banger. Okay, I might check that out. Spiderball says, when we could see Mandy and Gigi Dolan and JC Jane on the main roster? Well, as I've mentioned, a lot of call-ups have been cancelled recently, so it's very difficult to pin down when call-ups are going to happen. Welcome, Mick. How you doing, sir? Hope you're having a great day. Pierre says, I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan, and apparently you're pretty good with news about her. So, well, after all, Pierre, I know you found us because of the Sasha Banks and Naomi video that I put out earlier in the week, and I appreciate you dropping into the live shows so quickly and jumping in and helping out here just by chatting, by engaging. Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer did confirm my report about Sasha Banks and Naomi over the last few days as well, today particularly, so it's nice to have a little more backup in the reports there. Venom says, hope we get Sasha back soon. That would be nice, but I think she's owed a proper WrestleMania moment. One thing I do want to talk about, just before I continue reading the chat here, is in addition to Wrestling Observer confirming my reports about Sasha Banks and Naomi, another report of mine has been confirmed today. WrestleVotes confirming that the WWE is currently discussing the possibility of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view or premium live event going the way of the dinosaurs, being shelved indefinitely, and the Money in the Bank ladder match returning to WrestleMania. This is something that we've been talking about on this channel for the last week or so. I do expect this to happen, and I do expect this to continue gaining steam. First reported here has been confirmed now by WrestleVotes. Spiderboss says Twitter is a snake pit when people attack you just for having a different opinion. Yep, absolutely true. WrestleFan says, will the WWE draft return straight after WrestleMania? Yes, it will. Hector says, Tom, have you heard of any plans for LA Knight going forwards? I expect him to take Mansoor in Saudi, with Mansoor, considering Mansoor wrestles at most Saudi shows, if not all of them, but beyond that, I'm not sure what happens. I'm not sure that match is going to happen. Now, Mansoor, I could definitely see wrestling in Saudi Arabia. Mansoor, I'm no longer sure about. Flying says, I'll start recommending more people to your channel. I'm used to the online attack, so that isn't an issue that'll stop me. Appreciate that, sir. Appreciate that. Or madam, I'm not sure your gender. Appreciate that. Okay, Simon, I'll take your word for it. I didn't watch. Sean says, Mandy's having a 1-year celebration on NXT next week. Roxanne crashes a party. I do believe she will. It's time to build towards it. Horsey says, I know you're ending, mate. Good evening, though. And is there a SmackDown watch-along? Firstly, welcome, Horsey. How you doing, sir? I did check out your channel quite recently. I like what you're doing over there. There is a SmackDown watch-along later on today in about 2 hours, ready for SmackDown. We will be hosting a live SmackDown watch-along for SmackDown in its entirety, and I do very much recommend that people check it out. Joey says, is there any call-up plans for Carmelo Hayes, or is he sticking around in NXT? Once again, unfortunately, there have been a lot of cancelled call-ups recently, so it's very hard to nail down individual call-ups. Very hard. While I have all 132 of you, please do remember to hit the like button. Every thumbs up can make a massive difference. And subscribe if you haven't already. We're currently on a mission to reach 2,000 by the end of the year. That gives us just over 2 months to get about 250 subscribers. We're at 1,756 now. If you can, please do subscribe if you haven't already. Every one helps, and you will get a notification every time we go live with spoiler warning news shows, and in addition, of course, our watch-alongs of SmackDown and premium live events. Welcome, Corey, and thank you kindly for subscribing for your 19th month. Says happy 19th-month anniversary, Tom. Hope you're doing well. I've been working a lot, but I've been watching some of your videos. Thank you, Corey. Very much appreciate it. You've been here pretty much since the beginning, and you've been a staunch supporter. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Carlos says 6 months off seems very long for Charlotte to be out. Is she under contract or negotiating one? She is under contract. It is more a case of redesigning what she is going to be going forwards when it comes to Charlotte. I expect her to return relatively soon with a gimmick that more closely echoes sort of who Triple H was in 2000s. Spider-Boss says, do you see Ava Raine succeeding in NXT? Yeah, I don't know why she wouldn't. Noob says, do you think the NWA will have a business relationship with either WWE or AEW? The NWA has been trying to get business relationships with both of those companies for a long time. The bigger companies aren't really interested. Stuart says, Indy Hartwell as a character was honestly a little odd this week on NXT. Sort of a grumpy veteran type of thing, battering a rookie. Wasn't sure if she was doing heel or just hardening the character. Bit of both. Ray says, is Tenille Dashwood returning to SmackDown tonight? Tenille Dashwood is backstage at SmackDown tonight. Mario says, will John Cena be on the Mania cards? Already answered this one a little earlier. It depends on his schedule. Spider-Boss says, could we see Alba Fire, aka Kaylee Ray, on the main roster soon? A lot of call-ups have been cancelled recently, and because of this, it's extremely difficult to be able to say who is moving where, plus a lot of temporary call-ups happen, so we could see someone pop up on the main roster and then go back to NXT again. Sean says, I believe Triple H said the Hell in a Cell PLE is done, but the match will still happen. Indeed, I have reported that previously. Stuart says, always preferred Money in the Bank match at Mania rather than full pay-per-view. That is a plan going forwards, or at least that is currently under discussion for it. Horsey says, Hell in a Cell is going as well, and you said that first as well. 100% ignore the haters, we are behind you, Tom, 100%. Thank you, Horsey, appreciate that. Dad says, any news on AEW? The news that I've reported is as regards CM Punk, what I've heard backstage from the locker room on that one. Pierre, yes, you can reach me by Twitter DMs, but if you're going to be asking questions about wrestling, don't expect me to answer. Expect me to just take it into spoiler warning, because this is the area in which you can ask me questions about whatever you want. Outside of this, if you're asking questions and I'm answering them, then what's happening is I'm taking content away from YouTube. So I'm not going to be doing that. Indeed, Horsey, indeed. People do think it's click and go. Venom says, we get 2 ladder matches at Mania, one for men and women. Yep, over 2 nights. Spider-Boss says, I hope Ava Raine succeeds in NXT. Fans shouldn't compare her with her dad, The Rock. I agree. Absolutely agree. Jane says, do you have any WWE 2K22 news? It's already out there, isn't it? 2K23, nothing much yet, though I may have mentioned something about a new match type in GM mode. Simon says, would both Battle Royals go away, Tom, if both ladder matches are 2 nights of Mania 39? Not guaranteed. You could have 1 Battle Royal and 1 ladder match on each night of the show. Sean says, Ava is the first 4th generation superstar in WWE history. Yep, and that's great, but she also has to be able to stand on her own 2 feet. Thank you, Simon. Appreciate that. Jaden says, how is Charlotte going to be when she returns? Great question. As regards Triple H back then, it's worth looking it up. He was in charge. Venom says, do you think Charlotte returns as a face? No. Simon says, any news on a WWE 2K23 release date? Nothing as of yet. Still in production. Patrick, welcome, says, hi Tom, how you doing, mate? Mario says, will Logan Paul appear in tonight's episode and face Roman? I do not believe so. I believe they are saving that for next week when it's back on Fox. Hector says, to be honest, Tom, would you work with a company that has Brodus Clay in the main event scene regularly? It's not a surprise no one wants to work with Billy Corgan. Spider-Boss says, is the Elite returning to AEW? Yes, it is. Ray says, will Tenille Dashwood be called Tenille Dashwood or Emma in WWE? Great question. Let's find out in about 2 hours. Carlos says, is Emma returning a red herring for the Charlotte return? No, she's there backstage at SmackDown. Dad says, Tom, did you watch the match the other night? Which match is that one, mate? Which match? Do you mean the Ajax one? Traffic says, comparing The Rock's daughter to him is setting her up for failure. I completely agree. You're basically giving her just way too much to do in that one. Just far, far too much. 1 second, I have to get rid of someone who's just being incredibly annoying. Like, don't just post the same thing again and again. That's just annoying. Andrew says, hi Tom, hope you had a nice day. I did indeed. And lovely evening. Any update on what's next for CM Punk? He's going. And also any update on when we will get Bray Wyatt's 6th first member reveal. We're a way off it yet, quite a way off it. A couple of weeks, I'd say. But we're going to get plenty of hints along the way. After all, let's not forget, Uncle Howdy isn't necessarily a member of the Wyatt 6, but more the leader of the gang. Stuart says, had to laugh at the 2K22 adverts using Tim the Tapman to front them. I mean, it worked for them. Carlos says, double taping for Smackdown tonight. And we have Daz saying, Ajax, I did watch the Ajax game. It was fun. I can't believe the miss from Nunez, but then the all by Nunez, so it all worked out. And Miron says, hi Tom, welcome Miron. Now, everyone remember to hit subscribe on the YouTube side. We are continuing to grow, and it's a large part of it is down to yourselves. And I very much appreciate all of you being so supportive. We are back in 2 hours to watch the entirety of SmackDown start to finish in our SmackDown watch party. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap up here and say a big thanks to all of you. I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic. I'll see you all later today.